Good afternoon. Thank you for staying with NTV. My name is Gladys, Gachanja, and this is NTV at 1. Well, we are across the nation, even as we prepare for you the day top stories. And at this hour, we'll be crossing over to the Milimani Law Courts. We have Seth Olale, who is at the Anti-Corruption Court, where we're following up on that case against the former Kiambu governor, that is Ferdinand Waititu. And of course, speaking of which, Kennedy Muriithi is in Kiambu County, where they are expecting the swearing in of the new governor, that is James Nyoro. And we still have Silas Apollo at Milimani Courts, who is also following up on that Huduma ruling that will be coming up later on in the afternoon. For now, let's cross over to Kiambu County. It is still a wait and see scenario as a judge
Well, a very good afternoon to you there in studio. And here in Kiambu County, jubilation has just started, taking over some somber mood that had already engulfed this place, because there is a government car that has just come in a few minutes to 1 o'clock and left immediately. But do not know who was in that particular vehicle, because it has gone to the receiving bay, and immediately it got there, the vehicle just did another turn, left. The vehicle had been brought in by a serious government contingent, with one of the vehicles in front of it being a Subaru that is associated with the DCI, and also behind that particular vehicle was a Land Cruiser from the police department, that is from the Kenya Police. And this particular vehicle, a black Prado, was in the middle. We do not know who it was, as there are different words, or there are different sentiments coming together with regards to who was in that particular car, with some people saying that it was the Solicitor General who was in it, but we cannot independently confirm who was in that particular vehicle. Remember, starting now, they have around 58 minutes before the swearing in, or the official swearing in time lapses. According to the assumption of office, or the assumption of office for the governor, is that a governor is supposed to be sworn in between 10 and 2 o'clock. And if that time passes, then he is not going to be sworn in, or it will have been deemed to have passed. So there has been a lot of activity since morning. The members of County Assembly came here very excited about this particular occasion. Then, as time went by and it was approaching 1 o'clock, the happiness that was there slowly turned into a somber mood, as everybody was trying to look and trying to actually think what could have gone wrong, as they do not know. It was expected that at 10:01, the governor, that is the deputy governor, James Nyoro, would already have been sworn in. But quickly it turned that there was no judge to do this particular feat. So it has been a game where people have been making calls since that particular time. And the coming in of that particular vehicle has raised the hopes of these members of County Assembly, who are now here dancing to the tunes of music that is playing, and they're saying that yes, what they fought for is almost now coming to fruition. We do not know where that vehicle has gone out to, but probably they have already gone to get another judge. If it is indeed true that it is the Solicitor General, what could he have come here to do? Those are some of the questions that we will be asking. Could he have gone to the Kiambu Locust to see whether there is another judge? Can he perform these duties himself as the Solicitor General? So these are some of the questions that we are asking ourselves. But right now is that this is not the mood that was there a few minutes ago, as everybody was already congregating in small groups trying to discuss what could have been the way forward. What is the way forward? There's already a debate going on online with regards to this particular swearing in. Has it been done too fast? Is it the right time to have been done? Is it being done according to the assumption of office of governor, a law that had been passed by Senate last year and already assented to by the president? So these are some of the questions that are being asked. And already what we do know is that James Nyoro has been locked in the office since morning, with some of members of parliament, including nominated member of parliament Maina Kamanda. We also saw former Dagoretti South member of parliament Dennis Wawero. We've seen also the women representative for Kiambu, that is Gadhoni Wamushomba. We've also seen the Administrative Secretary for Youth and Gender, that is Rachel Shebesh, who are already locked into the room with her there. And what is happening here is that there is so much jubilation from the members of County Assembly. We want to see whether in the next few minutes the judge is going to come to preside over this particular function, and if he does not come to preside over this function, what next for the county government of Kiambu, what next for Waititu, and what next for James Nyoro? We are keeping tabs on everything that is happening here, and we will be giving you information if and when it gets to us. But what we can confirm to you right now is that there is no judge to preside over this swearing in at this particular point at this headquarters of the Kiambu government. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Kennedy Murithi, bringing us to speed as to that swearing in that has been expected since morning, even as Kiambu County will be swearing in its new governor, and that is the Deputy Governor James Nyoro to become the governor following the impeachment of Ferdinand Waititu. Well, Kennedy Murithi will keep us updated on the same as and when that happens. Over to the Anti-Corruption Court at the Milimani Law Courts and the ruling of an application filed by impeached Governor Ferdinand Waititu seeking to disqualify two witnesses lined up by the prosecution in his corruption case will be delivered on the 4th of February. Meanwhile, Waititu's lawyers are yet to file a formal injunction challenging the Senate's decision to impeach him. Seth Olale is at Milimani Law Courts with more.
Well, good afternoon, Gladys. I spoke to one of Waititu's lawyer, that is Alfred Nyam.
I believe we are having a technical hitch in as far as Seth Olale's sound is concerned, and we shall cross over to him when he rectifies that. They still stay at the Milimani Law Courts, and the High Court is this afternoon expected to give a ruling on the Huduma Namba. The court will give its decision in the case that was filed by the Nubian community and the Kenya Human Rights Commission, in which they challenged the constitutionality of the registration exercise, also known as the National Integrated Identity Management System. The petitioners had also asked the three-judge bench of Justices Pauline Nyamoya, Weldon Korir and Mombi Ngugi to declare the registration exercise unconstitutional. We will be crossing over to the Milimani Law Courts even as we reach Silas Apollo for more updates on the same. Let's look at Martyrs Maize, and the Kenya Bureau of Standards has directed all retailers to withdraw from their shelves maize flour manufactured by 17 millers with immediate effect. According to a statement signed by the Kenya Bureau of Standards Director of Market Surveillance Peter Kagwera, this action has been necessitated after findings by the Bureau revealed that the affected brands have aflatoxin levels beyond the acceptable limit. The affected brands include Tetema manufactured by Eldoret Grains Limited, Dollar manufactured by Eldoret Grain Millers, and Alfia, which is processed by Meru Multipurpose Cooperative Society. Retailers are also expected to write to the Bureau of Standards indicating the quantities of the affected brands they have in stock. Elsewhere, a multi-agency security team has intercepted a bus along the Garissa-Thika Highway en route Nairobi from Dadaab with a contraband goods hidden in the underfloor of the passenger seats. The move is in an effort to scale up interventions against illicit trade across the country.
Police intensified security operations and enhanced surveillance along the Garissa-Thika Highway at Ngutani. A bus plate number KBX 267X en route Nairobi from Dadaab was intercepted. Preliminary inspection of the vehicle revealed that the floor had been illegally modified and fitted with secret storage bins where contraband was kept. The multi-agency team recovered 49 cartons of Batuk chewing gum, 4 cartons containing 25 pieces of Tresori 40 appetite stimulant, 5 boxes containing 1,000 sachets of pain-relieving tablets, 286 tins of red cow milk powder, 37 tins of Anchor milk powder, and 42 tins of Nura milk powder.
Very well, thank you. How are you?
This comes days after a high-level security meeting in Garissa led by Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i and other senior government officials, where they agreed to heighten security along Kenya's borders. The multi-agency security team will be focusing on, among others, contraband and smuggling of goods as part of a comprehensive strategy in countering the financing of terrorist activities. A weekly update is to be provided to the Interior Cabinet Secretary for the necessary action and responses. Mel Mendo, NTV.
Well, back to the Milimani Law Courts, and the High Court is this afternoon expected to give a ruling on the Huduma Namba. The court will give its decision in the case that was filed by the Nubian community and the Kenya Human Rights Commission, in which they challenged the constitutionality of the registration exercise, also known as the National Integrated Identity Management System. Silas Apollo is following up on the same. Silas, what is the mood around the courts and what else can we expect?
Yes, Gladys, it's indeed a big day for the Nubian community and the Kenya Human Rights Commission, who had filed the case to challenge the legality of the Huduma Namba, the registration exercise that had kicked off across the country, which the government said was supposed to consolidate all information for Kenyans in order to help in terms of registration. Part of the information that was supposed to be collected was for the national ID number, driving license, the NHIF, NSSF, and all the numbers, of course, other Kenyans are required to carry around whenever they're going to seek government services. And the argument by the government then was that consolidating all this data into one format, of course, which would then be consolidated into a card that would be a biometric card that would be issued to Kenya, was to help the government deliver services efficiently and in a more effective way to Kenyans. But the Nubian community and the Kenya Human Rights Commission had a different argument. Their argument before the court was that the exercise had been made mandatory to Kenyans, something that they say was unconstitutional. Of course, the other argument they had was that the manner in which the exercise was being carried was unconstitutional. But a bigger part of it was the argument on data protection. You remember, there's been a lot of concerns in terms of how is the government going to ensure that the data that they collect from Kenyans is secure and is not open to exploitation, is not open to abuse. And so earlier on, before the case was determined, the three judges gave a ruling. Of course, not basically a ruling, gave a direction to the government that they could go ahead and roll the exercise, the registration exercise of the Huduma Namba, but collection of the DNA samples, which the government had proposed they wanted to collect, should not be collected. The other direction that the court had given earlier was that the government was not supposed to collect information on the GPS location of Kenyans during the registration exercise. And so after that was done, the arguments and counter arguments, the government came and argued that the exercise was not mandatory. Interior PS Karanja Kibicho was one of the witnesses who was called to stand to give his side of testimony, and he said that the registration had not been made mandatory. And you remember at one point him, of course, questioning the lawyers of the petitioners, that was Martha Karua, and telling Martha Karua that, you're not registered as well, and it's nothing really has happened to you. But then the question that the judges are supposed to, the direction they're supposed to give today, is the constitutionality of the registration exercise. Is it something that was supported by law? And were the arguments by the government valid? Were the arguments by the petitioners as well valid? Are there justifiable grounds to argue that the protection of data in Kenya is something that is still shaky? Of course, we expect that to be happening today in the afternoon. The judgment was supposed to be done at about 3 a.m. about 9 a.m. in the morning, but we've been told that it's been pushed to 3 p.m. Today in the afternoon. So we'll be keeping tabs just to let you know what happens. But remember, the Huduma registration has been quite a thorny issue. It's an exercise. The other question that Kenyans have is why the cards have not been issued yet, 9 months after the registration exercise ended. So those are some of the pending questions that we're supposed to be, of course, expecting answers from the judges today. But the government initially, that is PS Kibicho, had argued that the reason why the data has been lying idle is because the government was awaiting the ruling of the court so as to determine whether they were going to continue with the exercise or not. So today the questions that the judges are going to deliberate on is the constitutionality of this whole issue altogether, and not just the constitutionality of it alone, but also in terms of the data protection. Is our data protected? Is it going to be open to violation and breach? Can someone be able to auction our data to the highest bid or something like that? So are we expecting all these issues to come up? Of course, the concerns by Kenyans, and we'll also be looking forward to the arguments, of course, the way forward from the government in terms of the issuance of the cards as they had promised. And it's now 9 months since the registration ended, but there's not much communication from the government. So we'll be keeping tabs, but for now, back to you in studio, Gladys.
Thank you, Seth Olale. Looking forward to hear that ruling, even as the legality of the Huduma Namba, whose registration was rolled out in April of 2019, is actually cleared up by the courts. Now, Embu residents say they are already feeling the bite of a destructive desert locust which crossed over from Wingi overnight. The residents say they are counting losses due to the destruction of their farms. They say the locusts have invaded their maize and mogoka farms, and they are now calling upon the government to act swiftly to avert further destruction and losses.
Nzige wamefanya hasara kubwa sana. Hiyo hasara zimekula kila kitu, zimevagia kila kitu na masaa machache tu. Nilikuwa nimetayarisha vizuri shamba, nikapanda ngena ndio kunde ndio nipate karo. Na nilikuwa natarajia kikipungua sana ni gunia 9 na kizindi ni 10. Hiyo 10 nilikuwa naona inaweza toka hapo, lakini vile nzige waliingia hata gunia 2 kupata ni shinda.
Staying with the invasion, and countries within the Horn of Africa have called for a sober approach in tackling the invasion of desert locusts. Speaking on the sidelines of the 54th Greater Horn of Africa Climate Forum in Mombasa, experts warned of severe consequences if proper action is not taken to control the invasion.
If they're there or not, but we are really fearing that it may come to South Sudan because of the weather. The other attracting factor in South Sudan, because South Sudan is very green now, and they may be actually attracted by the fire to come and then invade South Sudan.
And the problem is not this season, for the coming season. For this coming season, if the rains arrive, I think it will again come back because the eggs are on the ground. So the council have to come together and they have to create task forces so they can fight together.
We require more helicopters for surveillance. We require more aircraft so that we can station them in the areas that probably are potentially vulnerable for those attacks.
Well, let's take you back to the Milimani Law Courts and the ruling of an application filed by impeached Governor Ferdinand Waititu seeking to disqualify 2 witnesses lined up by the prosecution in his corruption case will be delivered on the 4th of February. Now, meanwhile, Waititu's lawyers are yet to file a formal injunction challenging the Senate's decision to impeach him. Seth Olale is now with us. He's at the Milimani Law Courts. What can we expect and what are you hearing?
I'm hearing that the lawyers were supposed to bring in the paperwork haven't arrived here at the Milimani Law Courts, and that is according to one of Ferdinand Waititu's defense lawyers, who is Alfred Nyamu, who stated earlier that he was instructed to come and represent Waititu in this particular injunction case, maybe bidding to stop the Senate implement its impeachment against him yesterday. But according to Nyamu, he's expecting his colleague to bring in the paperwork. He was here from 11 a.m. but no lawyer has come, and so he's just waiting for his colleagues until such a time when that particular document will be brought here for filing at the High Court registry. But also it's worth noting that the ousted governor was just here like an hour ago in a case involving him. This is an EACC corruption case against him that he is seeking to have 2 witnesses expunged from this particular case, and according to him that the 2 witnesses lined up by the prosecution are county officials at the Kiambu County government, and so they're supposed to be in the dock alongside him. But according to the prosecution, these particular witnesses have key information. Remember that one of them, who is Faith Njeri Harrison, is the director of supply chain management, and the other one is Justus Bundi Kinoti, who is the chief finance officer at the Kiambu County government. And according to the prosecution, this is where the evidence lies. And these two are not only just witnesses, but key witnesses in this particular case that the DPP is seeking to have a watertight case against Ferdinand Waititu. And so according to Desmond Zioki, he will give a ruling next week on Tuesday as to whether he will allow an application by Ferdinand Waititu to have the two witnesses expunged from the case, or whether to just throw away Waititu's application and have the two witnesses remain in the witness list that the DPP has against Ferdinand Waititu. So it is a matter of wait and see, Gladys.
Thank you, Seth Olale, and definitely we shall be looking forward to what will be coming from that court, that is the anti-corruption court. And as soon as you have those details, I'm sure you'll be letting us know. We take now a short break. We'll be back with much more from the day top stories.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology to fight multiple tough pains with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Kuna mdenge fulani bibi yako na nywele refu yani. Kuna ngoko fulani bibi amemezali yake hadi Sasa ndio maana naona kutupinya mtu mbao. Mimi nimemjenga dhao, gari ilikuwa salasa, akaniambia nimjenge 17 hapa tena 30 yangu.
The way this position is tiring. Nimechoka.
What's that? Ni shosho fulani hapa hivi.
Ati shosho.
Call for long at 1 shilling 50 cents to all networks.
Cartelo.
Dial star 544 hash to subscribe. Telkom, moving with you.
Hanging out, it's my summer, got my squad. We go harder, we got a little bit of feel good now. It's my let's have a little bit of feel good now. Be myself, that's my secret. Stop and chill, best believe it. This is the weekend, so we're getting down. Let's have a little bit of flavor.
Did you know? Winning the Investment Bank of the Year at the African Banker Awards 2019 makes us a leading African banking group. Absa Group, serving Kenya as Barclays.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, Ndewa Law Court's Magistrate Mary Ocheng has accused investigators and the state of delaying justice in the case of an 11-year-old girl who was defiled and strangled to death in Homa Bay County's Ndewa constituency. The girl was killed while on her way from church on the 28th of December 2019. Ndewa residents are angered at the slow speed of a case, claiming the justice has questionably not been delivered in many similar cases. Bernardo Juang has more.
Taking longer than expected, and we are now hurting justice.
The plight for justice for 11-year-old Tiffany Achieng Juma docked at the Ndewa Law Courts. The girl was defiled and strangled to death in Luanda B area of Ndewa constituency, Homa Bay County on December 28th last year. The deceased family members were crying outside the courts demanding justice for Tiffany, whose body was found lying lifeless with blood oozing from her nose as well as her private parts.
I don't understand why investigations herein are taking so long. I will reluctantly allow the application by the prosecution.
The residents have vowed not to allow the family to bury the girl until justice is delivered, adding that cases of incest, defilement, rape and teenage pregnancies are on the rise in Dhiwa constituency, and no case have been successful in court due to manipulation. The suspect was taken back to the police custody and will be arraigned in court on Friday for mention. Bernard Juang, NTV.
And to the coronavirus effects, and the World Health Organization has warned all governments to take action over the coronavirus, which has killed so far 170 people and infected around 7,000 others. Now, outside China, 68 further cases have been identified in more than a dozen other countries, including Germany, Japan and Vietnam. Now, locally, preliminary results over the students suspected to have the flu-like virus may take longer than expected.
The World Health Organization has stated that it is considering the declaration of the coronavirus as a global health emergency. This comes at the backdrop of at least 18 countries confirming cases of the disease. Flights in and out of China have also been suspended. British Airways was the first major airline to announce a suspension of flights to and from China, followed by German flag carrier Lufthansa. However, locally, Kenya Airways has stated that flights to China will not be suspended. WHO has, however, lauded China for its efforts. The threat of the virus has had a domino effect on citizens around the world in terms of the economy and their livelihood. Japanese automaker Toyota said it would keep its plants in China closed until at least 9th February. The Women's Football Olympic qualifier event has also been moved from the epicenter of the virus, Wuhan, to Australia. Locally, lack of specific testing kits is hindering the confirmation of a suspected coronavirus in the country. The Kenyan student suspected to be carrying the virus is currently held in an isolation ward at the Kenyatta National Hospital.
Time for the sporting action. Brian Otwal is in studio.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Let's have a look at the latest in sports and the 2020 World Athletics Indoor Championships that were set to be held in Nanjing, China, have been postponed due to fears over the spread of the coronavirus. The championships that were to begin from March 13th to March 15th this year have been pushed back by 12 months by the governing body, World Athletics. World Athletics reached these arrangements after consultations with the World Health Organization that resulted in them turning down offers to host from other cities. The coronavirus has killed more than 130 people in China and has spread to 16 countries globally. 6,000 people have already been infected with a virus that has no specific cure or vaccine, with the epicenter of the outbreak being the Chinese city of Wuhan, around 370 miles from Nanjing. And to Europe, Liverpool moved 19 points clear at the top of the Premier League after easing past West Ham 2-0 last night. Meanwhile, Manchester City lost 1-0 to Manchester United but advanced to the Carabao Cup final 3-2 on aggregate. And in Spain, Real Madrid cruised into the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey.
And pride. Mohamed Salah was the star man as Liverpool extended their lead at
Of January, Manchester United agreed a deal to sign Portugal midfielder Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon at an initial fee of around 55 million euros. Add-ons, however, could increase the overall cost to 80 million euros on a series of conditions that must be met, including United's qualification for the Champions League. Arsenal, on the other hand, have signed Flamengo defender Pablo Mari on loan until the end of the season, with fellow Londoners Tottenham Hotspur signing Netherlands forward Steven Bergwijn for £27 million from PSV Eindhoven on a contract that will run until 2025. And Vanessa Bryant spoke out Wednesday for the first time since her husband Kobe Bryant in a horrific helicopter crash, saying the family is completely devastated by the tragedy. Vanessa, who married Kobe in 2001 when she was still a teenager, took to Instagram to communicate her grief, but said she was at a loss for words. Her comments come 3 days after Bryant and their 13-year-old daughter died when the Sikorsky S-76 they were riding in slammed into a rugged hillside in thick fog in Calabasas, northwest of Los Angeles. The crash also killed 7 others. An American 14th seed Sophia Kenin stunned home favorite Ashley Barty to reach her first Grand Slam final at the Australian Open. The top seed and world number 1 was looking to become the first Australian woman to make the final in Melbourne since Wendy Turnbull in 1980. But 21-year-old American Kenin had other ideas, and she took advantage of Barty's understandable edginess on a steaming hot Rod Laver Arena to win 7-6, 7-5. In other semi-finals, Gabin Muguruza beat Simona Halep 7-6, 7-5 to face Kenin in Saturday's final. In the men's draw, second seed Novak Djokovic is currently in action against third seed Roger Federer in the first semi-final.
Producers of the performances of her tennis life.
Well, that's the latest in sports. A lot more in our subsequent bulletins. Back to you, Gladys.
Thank you, Bryant Otwalu, the latest from the sporting world. Remember, one thing that we are expecting this afternoon, or one of the things we're expecting this afternoon, is actually the swearing in of the new Kiambu governor, that is the DG, James Nyoro. As it is, that event has been postponed, or rather, it has been delayed. And as you can see, legislators are actually marching, saying they are going to find a judge to ensure that this swearing-in ceremony does take place. This was supposed to happen early in the morning, but there seems to be a mishap as far as a High Court judge who can actually swear in the new governor of Kiambu. This comes after the impeachment of Ferdinand Waititu. As you can see, legislators are actually marching in protests of the delay of the swearing in of the new Kiambu governor, and they are demanding that a judge is actually tasked to do the swearing in ceremony. Well, again, those are pictures coming from Kiambu County, where legislators are actually marching to demand that a High Court judge is tasked to conduct the swearing-in ceremony, where the new Kiambu Governor James Nyoro was expected to be sworn in earlier on today. Now, news coming in is that the judiciary has sent out a message saying due to unavoidable reasons, the swearing-in of Dr. James Nyoro will not be conducted today, and a new date will be communicated in due course. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. This looks like it's a message from the judiciary, but we are yet to confirm, but we're keeping an eye on the same, even as we await to see how that situation in Kiambu will pan out. Thank you for your time. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Have yourself a good rest of the afternoon.
This is NTV.
Be part of over 40,000 students pursuing and nurturing their career at Moi University. Enroll now. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
Molfix breathable surface developed with airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Kisha tusonge mbele, kisha tusonge mbele. Kisha tusonge mbele, kisha tusonge mbele. Tusonge mbele.
Tusonge mbele na Fiber Mobile. Get a fiber SIM card today and enjoy Tusonge Mbele bundles at affordable prices.
Did you know? We are a leading African banking group with over 1,000 branches and almost 10,000 ATMs across the continent. Absa Group, serving Kenya as Barclays.
You know very well that I don't